But another thing that I learned when I was living overseas is that when you're an American living abroad, as some of you may know this experience, you are held personally responsible for everything that goes on in this country. So I began to get a greater understanding and passion as well for politics. And it was at that time when I combined the politics and the caricature that I became an editorial cartoonist. Next. And over the time, I've probably drawn 8 presidents and drawn 7,000 cartoons in total. Next. Even up to today with Barack Obama. Next. So, in 2006, when I was getting ready to leave the sun, I began to ponder what the next step would be. But I had a history with animation, and animation was going to be the obvious place for the cartoonist of the future to go. Because if you're going to go onto the internet and use the digital technology, it has to move. And I would look at someone like William Donald Schaefer, and what a great face he was. Next. And I thought, what would happen if I could make him move? So, I decided to go and find a place, and the first place I went to was next, UMBC. We need sound up for those ones. And there I became artist in residence, where I've been ever since. And I went to the UMBC and we put down a challenge. How about, I would like to make caricature, that most potent form of art, come alive in 3 dimensions. And not only that, I would want it to come alive so that the character would talk to you. Then I would like to have it come alive so we could make a commentary. But then finally, how about if I could make a character appear on the screen, talk to you in the audience, and you could talk back to him, and he would be able to hear you? How about that? And in the course of 2 years, we did just that. Next. But as I said, my history in animation goes back. I actually created this film in 1986, won 2 international animation awards. It's a television commercial from Great Britain. You'll really enjoy this. The director of it was the director who did Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And it stars Margaret Thatcher, the then Prime Minister of Great Britain, and her opposition leader. Sound. There's no sound. We're getting around to this. So the thing was with my animation is that I knew that my experience with animation from back in these days was it took thousands of drawings just to create a full minute of cartoons. But when you're dealing with editorial cartoons today, you have the prospect of using computers, which can shorten that time period. Oh. Enjoy it while you can.
Do you consider that some newspapers treat politics with a trace of bias? One side always right, the other side always wrong. Or the other way round. Today we'll show all politicians without bias, not as saints or devils, but ordinary people.
Hey, yeah!
Today colors the newspaper, not the news. Today, the newspaper that's broken the mold.
So this cartoon, 30 seconds long, took 3 months to make. But the prospect with politics is that politics changes on a dime. How could it possibly be for you to be an animator, to do work and make it work in politics? So when I went to UMBC, I said, how about if we make this so we can do a piece of animation in 30 seconds that can be done almost immediately? So I started first with a bunch of drawings of George Bush. Next. And a block of styrofoam. Next. From the block of styrofoam, we went on and sculpted from it. Next. Next. And next. Slowly, you'll see the face of George Bush appear. Next. Next. So finally, now we had a larger-than-life-size bust of the president. Next. And I took him down to a local 3D scanning operation. And this was just the beginning of my interaction with a whole host of people in this audience. I used R2 Integrated to make my website, and there's a whole host of other people who know who they are in the audience who helped me out. And from here, I started with a 3D scan. Next. Let's move on there. And we started to scan this bust in 3D. Next. Next. And next. The character, when he was scanned, actually had over 3 million pieces of digital information on the face, and you can see the subtlety that you could get on the character. Next. Now we had to make this face move. It was just a robot. Next. We had to give him teeth. Next. And now we had to make the facial expressions. Next. So we wanted to make a George Bush. We wanted to make one that actually carried all the various facial expressions of that particular character. Next. And we had to have a whole host of eye expressions as well. Next. We had to give him skin. Next. Next. And we had to give him eyeballs as well. Next. So the character in the end looked like this, but now we had to make him move. Next. As you can see, the character looked pretty well, but we didn't have a body for him. So the next step was to try to make
I'm Cal,
a character where we could use the body.
The Economist
Have a
magazine.
look at this.
I'm now making animated political cartoons using motion capture. It works like this. Digital cameras read digital markers that are on a suit. An actor, in this case me, puts on the motion capture suit and mimes the actions of the characters involved. I use motion capture in my animation because it saves me and my animation team a great deal of time. The ending product is fast, much faster than it could have been without the help of motion capture. This allows me to quickly animate characters like George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. My animators are now free to concentrate on other details, the finer details that make the cartoon great. I think face-based motion capture is a great solution for animation. President Bush, any thoughts? Don't have any. Ran out a long time ago.
Okay. All right, so here's where we are. We now have a 3D version of George Bush. I went on to build a 3D version of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and it is now also, by the way, 2008, a presidential election year. Now, after creating these characters, I wanted to be able to find a venue to show these things, and I was invited to join Second City, the improv comedy troupe that you may be familiar with, on a nationwide tour called The Art of Satire. We did an 8-city tour, and the whole idea was to talk about various different aspects of satire, and I wanted to use this and create an animation. So what you're going to see next is a 4-minute animation that we created using these characters. But the one thing to remember is that this animation took only 1 week of animating, in contrast to 3 months that it took to make a 30-second animation just a few years before. Let's move on to the next one, Martin, the animation. And the one thing about this tour that was interesting was, in addition to trying to create an opportunity to use animation as you see in the screen as in traditional, we wanted to try to create an opportunity where these 3D characters could actually interact with the audience. The motion capture suit that you saw me operating with there, we actually employed in our live performances. I would be backstage wearing a motion capture suit, and I would be wearing 2 microphones. On stage, a member of the Second City cast would be here and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea how exciting we are today because we have piped in from Washington, D.C. Please welcome President George W. Bush." And there on the screen would be the large 3D version of Bush. Backstage is me wearing a motion capture outfit. I'm looking at a black wall, and I have one microphone going into a computer that does voice recognition technology that would make the Bush's mouth move at the same time. However, there actually is a 1/4 of a second delay while the computer digests this information. So my second microphone would go into the house sound system with a 1/4 of a second delay, thus mixing them up together. We would have one person in the audience who would, on cue, stand up and ask a question of the George Bush character, and at the appropriate time, I would give an answer. I'd answer them in real time, and I know his answers. I'm not real good at answering those questions, but I try. Martin, we got the next one? Here's an example of the Hillary Clinton. Next. And here's the 4-minute piece that we ran during the 2008 campaign.
It is absolutely clear that this administration and President Bush continues to not let facts get in the way of his ideology.
And for 10 delegates, that is the correct answer. And with Senator Obama in the lead with an insurmountable number of delegates, we enter the phone-in round. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. The phone rings. And who is on the line?
It's me, President Bill Clinton. Let me just say, it is an honor for you to have me here.
Bill, do you have any idea what time it is?
Well, honey, I was just,
Mr. President, your question for the candidates.
Many Democrats feel you two should run on the same ticket. So my question is this. I am better than both of you put together.
Come on, Bill. That's not a question.
Damn right it's not. God bless you, and God bless America.
Senator Obama, your response.
President Clinton, not this time. Americans want change from the past. They want a brighter future. They want a future built on hope. Hope for a better America. For all Americans.
Incorrect. You're dreaming. Senator Clinton, what's your dream ticket?
Well, Senator Obama and I do agree on one thing. This is an historic election. If I win the election, Obama will be history.
Ouch! Good one. That's correct. And since only Senator Clinton answered correctly, you each get 12 delegates. And now on to the super delegate round. The war in Iraq. What should the U.S. do next? Senator Clinton?
We should bring our troops home in a safe and deliberate fashion.
Wrong answer. Senator Obama.
Bring our troops home immediately without delay.
I'm sorry, that is also incorrect. President Bush.
Oh, me? Oh, right.
Mr. President.
Deal. No deal.
Mr. President, you need to answer this question on the subject of Iraq.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I've got an answer. It's my job to answer. I am the answerer.
And your answer is?
Stay the course? No?
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. There are no right answers for Iraq. Let's get back to the challenges. Our next question is a phone-in from the presumptive Republican nominee, Senator John McCain. Go ahead, Senator.
My friends, I'm getting pretty popular out here. My friends, what do you say you keep this game show of yours going for a few more months, or maybe even 100 years?
Though I respect the audacity of your hope, Senator McCain, I will refrain.
Hold on
The
there,
people
Buster.
have
It's not
spoken.
over yet.
And statistically, I have already won the
no.
nomination to be your
This
Democratic
race
candidate
is not
for
about who has
President
already
of these
won,
United
but
States.
about who is currently
Obama,
winning.
Excuse
I
me.
am the man.
You are not
excuse
the
me.
man.
I am
Candidates.
on top.
Okay, excuse me.
Let's
I
get
have
up,
been
come
on
on,
top
please.
too.
Hillary, it
And
is
I'm
a
not just talking
mathematical
about this race
impossibility.
either. You're killing
All right,
me here.
that's enough from you
This
two.
race
This
is
race
over.
is
You
not
two are
over.
ridiculous.
Hillary, admit it.
I can't
is
stop it.
time.
Careful. I'll start to cry.
Enough. President Bush, final thought.
Don't have any. Ran out. Long time ago.
All right, that was awesome. Come on, give it up for that. That was awesome.